In the context of creating empathy and understanding for ourselves as trauma survivors and others who have survived trauma, I think it's useful to understand what is healing, what is healthy, and what is integrating relative to what is disintegrating, what is dis-ease, what is destruction. And integrity and healing are integral. Healing and integrity is the knitting together of the best parts of who we are. And when we're in different camps, like take a country where you have 10% of the population who is a terrified bigot or racist of some kind, and they're just hurt and they're terrified and they're uncomfortable with the change, with newness, with all that it means. It's terrifying for them and they are hurt. And then you have 90% of the population who is pro-development, pro-inclusion. And so if you take that country and you start lashing out at the people that are, racist and provoking them and, killing them on the streets, etc., then more and more of the country becomes pro the racist faction. The country starts to divide. And you take a country that is 90% moving towards positive momentum and you push it back with division, with conflict, with triggers, with trauma. Take the same country and bring in compassion and understanding and let these people tell their stories about what it's like and why it's uncomfortable and just what's going on for them emotionally, and give them emotional support. Give them emotional support to make the change, to, hate has an evolutionary function. The enemy has an evolutionary function. The need to have an enemy, like Russia was our enemy for a long time. And having an enemy to fight, to compete against, to learn about, to fight and compete against, excelled. It brought us to the moon faster. It did things that helped us to grow and focus. It can bring, having an enemy, a common enemy, can bring people together in a way that they don't know how to come together without that common focus. And it's much easier to have a common focus of an enemy in our biology, like when we're still in this fight-flight mode, where we don't feel safe enough to lift up into the more human part of the brain. Having an enemy to fight kind of prepares us and helps lift us to a point where we can create the safety around us to have a focus of a friend. Because that's the other focus. We could have a focus of caring. We could adopt a third world country as a country. And we could say, this is our mission. We are going to help this country come out of poverty faster than any other country. And we're going to help that country. We're going to provide online infrastructure for mentors. Anyone who wants to volunteer to mentor someone in this country, great. Anyone who wants to learn the language, we're going to train people in that language. We're going to provide an app so anyone can speak language. We're going to provide translation services. We, as a country, are going to lift up another country to the degree that they're able and willing and wanting that. And we're going to look for good investment opportunities, chances that whether it's the best return on interest or not, we're going to see we're going to create a kiva for that country where any American can invest and anyone can put up and they can build trust. We're going to see what works, and we're going to try this with this community. And we're actually going to compete as a country, like every state in the United States is going to pick a small region within that third world country or that second world country. And we're going to see whose well-being lifts up the fastest. And we've got donations, we've got non-corrupt nonprofits, we've got mentoring, we've got small loans of $10, $20, $30, $50 from individuals rather than corrupt world banks. And we've got, we're going to send, anyone who wants to donate any items. We're going to have a big day where everyone gets rid of all the things that they don't really need or want that might be useful to someone in that country. And we're going to declutter, and we're going to give that all, and a truck's going to come by and it's going to ship it all over there. And then we're going to measure the result. We're going to look on apps, like they're going to say, and give feedback. And we're going to try and do a census over there, like how many people were benefited in some way by the effort and how much, so that we can learn the technology of helping another group of people. So this would be coming together with love and joy, and it's much closer to the alignment of our spirit, but it's not coming from the fight, flight, survival part of our trauma. It's not coming from that place, because that wouldn't lead to that. That the lizard brain is all about manipulation and stuff. So to grow someone in their lizard brain, you need an enemy. You need an enemy to compete against, to plot against. To grow someone in their human state, you need a friend. You need a positive goal. And so, if we want to heal a country like we as a country would heal, we would integrate around that vision even more than we would integrate around a common enemy, because it's who we are. We love to give of our abundance. And what I find when I give to someone is it challenges me to be more, which is the best part. But so in this framework of a country being healing for PTSD survivors, for people with mental emotional dis-ease surviving, a lot of the question comes to, is the response of a practitioner, of a doctor, of a family, of a community, and of a country, does the response support the person in becoming their best self? Or does it divide the person and bring out the worst? So what do I mean? So how do we know if someone's being healing for us? I think one metric is shame. So is the person, group, doctor, etc., giving the message that this is all about you, or this is all about us? Because shame is exclusion. Shame is all about you. You didn't learn enough, you're too sensitive, you reacted more than other people, you shouldn't be feeling this. This is all you. We didn't know enough about you. We don't have enough information to be effective for you. We don't have a culture that's ready to heal what you've got. We don't invest in well-being and emotional technology the way that we do in physical technology. And as a result, you're screwed because we together didn't do X, 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 and X. So one is it shaming? Is it including? Is it blaming, or is it owning? So this is medicine. Another is, does it acknowledge and validate? Is anyone interested in understanding you? Is anyone interested in understanding you? Or is everyone focused on not understanding you, on just you're different, I don't want to know about it, that takes too much time. So this is disintegrating because it's saying you're not important, you're not valued, you're not loved, you're not cared enough to understand. Because when you've got a dis-ease, when you've got a rupture, you've got to look at the fault. You've got to look at the forces that are pulling that person apart, which are typically not beginning in the person. They're typically in the environment. They're typically a person at the effect of an environment that's pulling them apart. So then the question becomes, do you know what that is and how it's pulling people apart? Fourthly, is there championing and support for you being you? Like, I believe in you. You're a good person. You're worth fighting for. You're worth understanding. You're worth knowing. And I'm going to see that you're okay. Or, I'm busy. You're weird. You're not worth it. It's your fault. Just get out of here. So that's another part. Is the environment healthy and healing and integrating, or is it disintegrating, destructive? Another thing is the degree of accommodation. Now that we understand you, do we understand you? Like, for example, let's take the example of someone with a broken leg. So we kind of see that, yes, your leg is wobbly, but we can't possibly start a hospital, develop the technology of splints, develop cast materials, provide wheelchairs, then put in wheelchair ramps in these schools and this and that, all because you were so dumb that you broke your leg. We can't do all that because you're not worth it. We've got too much else to do. So we get it, we see you've got a broken leg, just hobble along. Now, this would go to an extreme where the person hobbling along in pain, without crutches, without their leg getting better, is told to go to school and function. But of course, they can't. They're moving this leg. It is constantly re-injuring itself every single day. It's not healing. Now, we would consider that barbaric because we care enough about people with broken legs to know enough to know how barbaric that is. But with mental emotional disease, we don't know enough, and we don't care enough to know. And we don't, in some cases, know how to know in a way that we can bring into our lives. So we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. And we do push people into these states where without a cast, where without a place to heal, they are constantly having the broken leg rebroken to such an extent that that bone can never fuse. It can never heal. It needs a new iron thing, which is another thing that we don't have. So when we don't care about this on an emotional level and we don't understand it, then we in effect punish people who we don't care enough to understand and love. We punish them. And when one depression leads to another depression, leads to another depression, leads to another depression, it's as if that person is being left to wobble around without support with their broken leg. And there's no, and so what's the opposite of that? The opposite is not only do we understand, we get it, we don't personalize it, we don't blame you, we want to help you come back into our world. This is healthy, it's healing, it's integrating, and we have a plan. We're going to send you to this doctor. We're going to, and we have a plan for that. It's called health insurance. And we're going to send you there, and you're going to get this, and you're going to rest for 3 or 4 days. And then we're going to give you a wheelchair. And then we're going to see that everywhere you need to go, you've got a wheelchair ramp. Now, what's the equivalent of this in PTSD? We're going to learn and recognize that you have PTSD. It's not your fault. 3, we're going to learn what the things that cause that re-explosion and that re-explosion is. 4th, we're going to educate ourselves, and we're not going to do those things. We're going to have group protocol where, like, who here has a trigger point around stuff that isn't fully resolved? What is it? Okay, so if we do this, that's good for you. If we do that, that's just explodes everything for you. Okay, thank you. Can everyone here agree we're not going to do that? Like, we're not going to tell tell this person how stupid they are, even though for someone else it might not be a big deal and it's just an offhand comment. We're frustrated. We're not going to say that here, because for this person, it explodes and brings out the worst in them. So we're going to do that. And can we accommodate? And when this person needs a little help, like, these are the bumps in this process, like going to school here. There's going to be times when a subject that we study, maybe a war subject, is going to bring up a lot for this person. So I want you to know you can raise your hand and talk about it. You can educate us on what is so sensitive about that. And maybe we'll learn from you why war is such a traumatic thing. And maybe you'll make it be more real. And that's the final thing in healing that I want to say is, when a society is intelligent enough, when a group, an individual, a society, a doctor is intelligent enough to benefit and be blessed by the unique perspective and opportunities that the patient, the client, the one with the extra sensitivity, the one with the wound brings to the situation, and allows that blessing to come into them, so that they're now appreciating their leg more, so that they're now appreciating their families more, and the bonds of good friendship, and what can destroy that, and what can ruin an emotional sphere of well-being. So this is optimal. So we've got optimal, and then we've got, disastrous. We're not going to look, we don't care, it's all your fault, we're not going to understand, we're not going to accommodate, and we're certainly not going to learn. What we're going to do is we're going to turn you in the problem. Like, if it wasn't for you and you're fucking sensitive and da-da-da-da-da, we could have gotten so much more done. If it wasn't for you and your curse, we're not going to be blessed by you, we're going to be cursed by you. And we're going to send the message in every way we can. The world would be a better place if you didn't exist. Well, this is hostility, it's abuse, it's destructive. It's the ultimate collapse of leadership, of kingship, of queenship, of health, of vitality. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is, statistically speaking, you are in unhealthy environments a lot of the time. And that's, statistically speaking, a big reason that you're sick. And it's a big reason that I'm sick. And that's not on you. That's, joke on everyone, really. It's a bad joke, but it's a joke on everyone, because everyone loses in the unhealthy dynamic, and everyone wins. Everyone wins. Because, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you see a group of people or an individual help a kind old woman across the street who needs help, carrying shop, letting someone go through with grace in the traffic lane, when you see someone caring for those rare individuals, you see a profound lift. Like, everyone feels safer, because it's like, yeah, they would do that for me too. I'm safer. This is a good world. Well-being lifts up. When we see people caring for the most vulnerable and the most needy and the most helpless and the elderly, there's a beauty, there's a healing for all of us, because we're all going to be old, we're all going to be helpless, we're all going to be vulnerable sometime. When we care for that, that's when you have ultimate health and safety. So the purpose, how you can take this analyze your different environments, and the more unhealthy the environment, it could be a person. Every person is an environment. Every group is an environment. Every institution is an environment. So when you see, okay, this is not on me. This is the equivalent of being forced to engage in this way and having my leg ground up rather than splinted. And it's not healthy. And it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I can contribute to improve the environment for others in some cases. I can learn about this, and I can coach those that want to help me to be a positive environment, to understand, to own, to take on, to validate, to care, to understand, to learn, to love, to lift, to prepare the environment, to learn about me, and to see how this can be a blessing in our relationship. Not that great health and all that isn't a wonderful blessing as well, but it can be sparkle that much more in relative terms. Thanks for watching.